Hi, welcome to How to Repair. Today we're dismantling a Whirlpool Zen washing machine, and the model number of this machine is FSCR10431. The reason we're dismantling the machine for parts is because the actual program has got a fault on it and it needs replacing. Secondly, the machine was not fitted level and water has dripped out of the soap drawer here and caused corrosion on the panel and at the base of the machine, so it's not really worth doing up. But there are many components on this machine that are worth keeping that you can see in the exploded diagram here. The door, the drum, the pump, the motor are all good components and they are worth recycling. So I thought I'd make this short video for you to show you how the machine comes apart and how to dismantle it. And while I'm doing it, I'll also explain any common errors that I see on the machine to try and help you with any problems you have in the future. Okay, there's standard 2 screws at the back of the machine, then you need to give it a tap backwards and the lid will come away. Next we need to take the soap drawer out. Just press the button down and pull it out. As you can see in there, this has not been maintained and a lot of mold and corrosion, especially calcification, building up on the jets at the top. This is why water has been trickling out here. The first thing we need to do while it's on the workbench is actually take the facial panel off with the program. And there's torque 20 screws and some of these are corroded inside the Soapbox, so do actually try to give them a bit of a wriggle as you're undoing it, and then you'll be able to undo these. Then at the top there are 2 torque screws holding the facial panel in place. Once we've undone these, we're able to lift the panel up, bring it away and unclip the display panel. There is only a plastic lug on the back of the connection and that will come away. That's a perfectly good display panel. The program is actually inside on the bottom of the machine, but we'll get to that later. Next we'll remove the door and the hinge. This is a good part and will save someone a lot of money in the future, because these doors do get broken with children hanging off them in the kitchen. This undoes and then we'll lift up and the whole unit can come away. That's a perfectly good door assembly. Next we're going to remove the actual front panel. I do like these plinths that they put on these machines. Someone has put some thought into this. Normally on a lot of machines you have to get a screwdriver to prise them away. They have actually put buttons on either side and you just press them in and you can see the locking mechanism there. Well thought of. To take the door seal off, you can either use a small screwdriver and go under the spring to lever it off, or you can use the proper tool for the job, which is these door spring pliers. I will put a link to these in the description below for you if you do need a set. They're not expensive, about £10–15. Then the seal will just peel back. This seal is no good, because, well, it could be cleaned, but it's not worthwhile for the cost of it. I have done a video on how to remove mold off a door seal, and that was a very popular video. Once that's peeled inside, we can now remove the facial panel, the front panel. There's 2 torque screws at the bottom, 1 in the middle, and then 2 at the top. Now, before I actually take the last screw out, the door lock, there are 2 lugs on the door lock and you need to press these down while moving the lock towards this direction and then tilting it slightly at a 45-degree angle and sliding it out. The panel will then lift and come away. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is take this concrete block off the front. This is Torx and they're quite large Torx. I think they're about 50s. I'm just loosening these first and then I will explain the fill system to you and also the empty system to you. Next we have the pump and recirculation pump. These are two separate motors. The motor at the back is for emptying the machine, and this basically takes the water all the way through to your waste system. The pump at the front right hand side is the recirculation pump. This transfers water up to the top of the door seal here and circulates the water within the machine. Common emptying problems. Small items of clothing can get lodged in the sump hose. This is a common problem. Also, you have the pump filter, and this just unscrews, pulls out, and this should really be inspected every couple of weeks, really. Pull it out, and you can see the dirt that's actually in here. Bits of fluff, sometimes there's coins and other bits and pieces. I've already run a test cycle on this machine, so we know all the pump is working correctly. But if you do have problems with the machine not emptying, you need to test the pump. You also need to make sure the impeller inside the pump is turning freely, and of course making sure there are no bits of clothing or other items wrapped around the impeller or restricting the flow of water. Okay, let me explain the fill system to you. The program sends electricity to the water valve that is required to come on, whether it's a pre-wash valve or a main wash valve. The solenoid is energized and lets water into the machine. The water then collects in the drum and pressurizes this chamber that you can see on the right, which is built into the drum. This then pressurizes the air inside that chamber. This is then transferred up to the pressure switch. Now, on old pressure switches, they used to be mechanical. On new pressure switches, they work on hertz frequency and send data to the program to tell the machine what level of water is in the machine. When the required level is reached, the program then cuts off the electricity supply to the water valve and the machine stops filling. Common faults that can occur. Machines may fill with water overnight, and this could be because of a faulty water valve jammed open. The machine may be overfilling with water, and this can either be a blockage inside this chamber or possibility that the hose has got a small perforation in it and is releasing the air inside the tube, and therefore the machine is getting incorrect reading on the pressure level. Also, you can have faults with the pressure switches. There are many error codes related to the fill system and empty system, but these are the basic principles of how the machine empties and fills. Okay, while the machine's here, I'm going to take off the soapbox hose, the fill pipe and the door seal and the pump. These clips are really notorious for trying to get back on, so do be aware you may need to replace these with a Jubilee clip. The door seal is held on with a spring, and that is on the side there. Just lift that up with a screwdriver and then you'll be able to peel the door seal away. But look at the dirt inside this door seal and also inside the drum. And this is because no maintenance washes have been done. And there is a video about mold on door seals that show you how to do the cleaning maintenance on these machines. The soapbox hose is straightforward. Just use a pair of pliers, take the clip off, and then you're able to remove that. That's a perfectly good hose. Now, to remove the pump is straightforward. First we'll do the sump hose, and again there's a clip, quite difficult to get at. Just release the pressure off the clip and pull it downwards. Again, there is a perfect example of what can clog in the machine. There's a ball that's designed to be in there, but look at that plastic. That was lodged in the machine, and that could have been causing problems with the actual restriction of water leaving the machine. Then we've got one more clip on this side. Release that and the hose will come off, and that's a perfectly good hose that can be reused. We've got two 7mm bolts at the front here to release the actual pump from the chassis. And then you've got a couple more clips holding the recirculation hose and also the waste hose. Once you've got the pump off, you're then able to disconnect the wiring. At this point, I'll also remove the pressure switch to get it out of the way. Again, little clip at the top, and the wiring will come away. Take the hose off, and then it will lift and twist, and that is a perfectly good pressure switch. While I've got it on the workbench, I'm also going to take the 2 retention bars off. Again, to lighten the load when taking the drum out of the machine, I'm just taking the top concrete block off. Next, we're going to remove the water valve and the soapbox, and I'll just explain a couple of common problems with the soapbox once I've got these hoses off. Okay, if you look inside here, there are clips on the side, so this does come apart and this can be cleaned. But if you're in a high calcification area, in other words, the water's got a lot of calcium, these jets can block up. So it's well worth cleaning this on occasions, every year or so, every couple of years. And also you're able to remove any of the mold and build-up of grime that occurs in there. Once you've undone these, you're able to remove the wiring from the water valves. To remove the water valve, you need to put a little bit of pressure on it. There's a pin at the top you need to press in, and also a pin at the bottom. Once you press those pins in, turn it clockwise, and the water valve will come away. There's also a measuring device which measures the flow of water going into the machine, I believe. And that has got a wire on that, and just need to press down the lug and that will come away. That's a perfectly good water valve. Now when it comes to the water valve, it's really important to keep the filter clean. At the back here, now the water valve actually can jam open due to actually debris getting inside the valve or the diaphragms within the valve becoming faulty. But if the machine is filling overnight, then this may be a problem with dirt or the actual diaphragms inside, which are perforated and might be leaking water into the machine. If the machine is not filling, then you may have a problem with one of the water valves. Now these are linked together, so you've got 3 connections. One will be a neutral and 2 others will be live connections. And you need to do a continuity check on both of those. But to take the filter out, just use a pair of pliers, grab hold of the pin, you can take that out, and inside there, even though we've taken the filter out, if I bring this up to the camera, you can see small bits of dirt in there. So just giving that a clean out, and I'll give that a flush in the tap in a minute, but that is a perfectly good valve, and you can also clean this filter in the sink. I've already just taken the mains wire off the machine, but I thought I'd quickly show you the electric filter. Now this can be a problem if there is no power going to the machine, or maybe the machine is tripping when you turn the electricity supply on. So take out the 2 screws, slide it towards you, be careful of the lugs, and this will come away. The suppressor and filter, you want to inspect for any hairline cracks in it if you do have a problem with tripping electricity or no power going to the actual circuit board, but that's a perfectly good filter. The waste hose on these machines is in 2 components. You've got the internal part and the external part. So there's a clip on the back, and that undoes and will come off. Notice in here there is quite a bit of build-up of dirt, and if I show you that by putting my pliers in, this can become a problem with restriction of water leaving the machine, therefore maybe causing an error where the machine is not emptying in the allocated period of time. But this is a perfectly good hose for someone. Next we're going to remove the motor, and I'm just going to undo the back panel. And here we have the motor and also the heating system. Now for ease of filming, because it's quite tight in here, I'm actually going to remove the drum first before explaining the heating system and the motor. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the printed circuit board and disconnect the wiring to the heater and the motor. This is the earth wire that attaches to the machine, a lug that you need to press down to remove the program and just push it inwards. Then the program will become loose. Quickly cutting the cable ties. Again, there's multiple plug connections that you need to release. Taking the cover off exposes all the different connections. Now I won't be selling this circuit board because I believe it has faults on it. And sometimes I reuse components when repairing machines. Some of the relays may be usable on another machine. And that is the printed circuit board. As you can see, the manufacturer has put the part number on. The circuit boards on these machines sometimes need programming. So whenever purchasing a circuit board, it's a good idea to make sure it's programmed for your model of machine. Some quick things I would say about these is the circuit board itself may have faulty relays, possibly blown tracks on the board. It's worth inspecting it if you have a dead machine. But if you need to replace it, what you need to do is have a look on some of the major shopping channels like eBay, Gumtree, or wherever you are in the world. You may find a machine has been scrapped because of rust, because of bearings gone in the machine, and you might be able to find a second-hand program for your machine, which would save you a fortune, because this is over £200 to buy. Just quickly disconnecting the heater. There is a cable tie here. You could try and undo the pin, but it's easier to cut it off. And then once that's off, you're able to remove the plug from the NTC sensor and also take any wires off. Sometimes they're quite sticky, and be careful of the sharp edges. On the earth wires there are some pins that need to be pressed down to remove the earth wire. Now to remove the suspension legs before we lift the drum out, I normally lift the drum straight off the shock absorbers. The reason being is these plastic lugs that hold the actual suspension legs in place, two on one side and one on the other, can actually break when you're releasing them. The plastic does get brittle, and you'll notice this is why, another reason I'm scrapping the machine, the amount of rust because of the water leaking from the soapbox. But if you press, there's two pins that you need to press. Just turn this slightly, pressing the two pins down to release the tension off them, and we'll see if we can do one without breaking it. So pressing the two lugs down, then you're able to twist it and push the actual suspension leg in. They are quite tricky to do, but sometimes you actually end up breaking the plastic, and that's why I lift it off the other way. But if I get these off complete, they will be some good legs for other people in the future. Yeah, managed to get two of them. And all those came off easy. Unclipping and removing the hose on the actual front that goes from the pump to the back. There's a couple of clips at the top, but that's a perfectly good hose. Now we're ready to lift the drum out of the machine. Now, because lifting the drum out of the machine is normally a two-man job, what I use is my travel hoist, because I work on my own, and I'm just putting the harness on to actually lift up the drum. Taking the pressure off the drum so I can actually remove these two springs, because it is quite tricky to get the springs off the drum. So I'm just lifting the weight up, and then I'm able to get the springs you need to drop the little plastic covers off to actually get the springs out. Once that's done, I'm able to lift the machine up slightly and then slide the drum out of the chassis. And there we go, we've got the drum, and now I can actually show you the heating system. Okay, just quickly showing you the suspension leg attached to the drum at the top. Again, this is a clip system and there's a pin on either side. So you need to press down one side and just give it a twist. Make sure you're not forcing it, and then it'll twist and the shock absorber will come away. That's a perfectly good shock absorber for someone. Okay, here we have the motor, and I've still got two bits of wiring to do, but we've got to actually take the outer part of the stator off. So you will need to use a torque 40, and once you've released it, the reason why these are sticky or difficult to get off sometimes is because they're held in with Loctite, and that means that the bolt that I'm taking out at the moment will have some glue on the threads that hold it in place. And there you go, you can see the red stuff that's on the threads, and that's Loctite. You will have to re-Loctite it to actually put it on. Now there's a spline here. On some of the other machines like LG, Samsung, they use a plastic spline which sometimes shears, but this looks like a metal one. Now these motors are magnetic, and you will have to give them a wriggle to come away. But once you've got this off, this is the outer part of the stator, and this is the actual motor itself. There are some codes on here for part numbers, and on this side as well, you've got some part numbers written on these. And we'll just quickly undo the two wiring clips and take the motor off, which needs to be these 6 bolts. To remove the motor windings, we've got a clip on the far side here that you will need to press down and push in. This will then come away. 2 7mm bolts. And holding the motor with the last, and the motor will come away. And here is the motor, and that is actually not a plug. That just runs the wiring through to the connection point behind here. But there you go, you have the whole motor assembly, which will really benefit someone. Lastly, we've got the heating element, and you've got the NTC sensor and an 1800 watt element. The NTC sensor sends an ohms reading to the circuit board, which is able to detect the temperature that it's washing at, and the heating element is an 1800 watt, and you can use the other videos on our channel to show you how to test elements. But we're quickly going to take this out, and just undoing the nut, take it nearly to the end of the threads. Once it's at the end, you will need to use something just to give it a tap inwards. This is actually releasing the pressure off the seal. Now you can use a screwdriver to go underneath the element on both sides, and you will have to prise it away, and they can be quite tricky to get out. And the problem being is the seal, because it's been compressed for such a long period of time, can be difficult to take out, as I said. But basically, as that compresses up, that is what puts the pressure on the actual tub here to actually seal it. And I'm looking inside the drum, and that drum needs a thorough clean at some point, because that's the build-up that's taken place. And there we go, the machine's totally dismantled. I have a spare drum in case I ever get another machine in with collapsed bearings. All the parts for this machine, whether you need new or used parts, I've put a link in the description below to assist you in getting your parts. But do remember, you need the full model number and on occasions the PNC number off the identification plate, or the genuine part number that you require. Thank you very much indeed for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and also if we really helped you, you can click on the Bipolar Beer page to donate to the website to support us. Thanks very much indeed for watching.